Welcome back, everybody. Karen Brook here with you for another installment of our client case study interviews. Today, I have another very special guest, Jacqueline Verrall, with us. Jackie and I have actually known each other our whole life. She's my cousin.
Absolutely.
And just informed me today that she actually took one of my programs a long time ago when was that, Jackie?
I think I'm tempted to say, well, I've lived where I'm living for 9 years, and I wasn't living here when I did it. So I must have been
Wow.
10 or 11 years ago.
So good.
Yeah.
So you've got a very interesting story, and I can't wait to get into it today. But corporate background, but also work with spirits and tarot. So tell us a little bit of your background, what you do, sort of, I guess, is your consulting job, but also now working in multiple dimensions, quite literally. Quite
Yeah,
literally.
it's kind of hard to know where to start, but I combine them both. So, and I think I pretty much always have. So I've been a psychic, for want of a better word. My father, my dad, being
Yeah.
Catholic, has always called me a sidekick because I've never really been able to accept being very Catholic and still go to mass. They do. That's his way of always having accepted what I've done. But as a family, they just always accepted it. So
Mm.
it's been forever for me. Yeah, and back in the 80s, when you were way young, it was trendy to be a psychic, and the metaphysical world was really big. And I was working in hospitality thinking, what do I do? But combining both, I've always read tarot for my friends, but I've also, if any friends I used to call myself the attack psychic. I'd just blurt out, oh, hey, you've got someone with you, and everyone would, oh, okay. And
Yeah.
then I'd tell a story. So of course at dinner parties and what have you, then if you do it for one person, everyone wants one. Who have I got? So I
Yeah.
I learned that I had to control it a bit better.
Yeah.
But all the while I was also really good in working in the corporate world. I'm a compliance and quality assurance manager now with qualifications, postgrad quals. So I have that very structured, logical brain, and a completely different side that one of my friends has, a few years ago, just coined the phrase the corporate witch. I'm able to work in the corporate world, and I've always been really good at building teams and getting projects done. So I'm a consultant. I've had my own business as a consultant in the education sector for 11, 12 years, but I've been in that sector for 23 years, teaching people how to achieve their business dreams of running a training organization. So it's kind of been a roundabout combination, because the whole metaphysical stuff became really untrendy for a long time, and now it's coming back again. And my studies with you, and I've done 3 programs now, and back on that program 11 years ago, let's just go with 11, I identified in doing that program that the consulting work in the compliance stuff I actually really didn't like, but I'm incredibly good at it. So I don't even have a website, and I work full time. So I've never had to advertise my services. It's just all been word of mouth. But then I did the 28-day Wealthy You, but the change for me was really thinking into results. That was just a real opener for me in moving forward and deciding, to be happy.
Yeah, so good. So what was going on for you before you came into the 28 day? Like, where were you at with work, with life? What was going on for you before you even started in the 28-day training, which was 2 years ago now? Last year? 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
I can't
2
remember.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yep, I think it was 2, because and in Melbourne, we preference everything with pre-COVID and post-COVID. So for me, so that would have been pre-COVID, probably around that time. So much changed in my life in terms of, and even true to this day, in March 2020, we were all sent home from offices, and I've never gone back. And I'm an extrovert. So I found that, whilst it's great, oh yeah, you work from home, it's fantastic, it's really good. previously in my consulting business, I traveled every month. I had clients all around Australia, and public and private clients, but predominantly private, 100% gone overnight because they shut down education. So, or everybody then went online. That was not my skill set. So it was literally 100% of my income just gone. So I was working at an office in Melbourne, in the city, 2 days a week to help them get their books in order. And again, I was still able to do that from home, but 2 days a week didn't cover the rent. So, to me, it was just a, and I'm a firm believer, the universe gives us signs until we actually see them.
Yeah, so, repeat the lesson until we pick up the lesson.
Exactly. And most of my career, even though I've been 23 years in the education sector, I would achieve the outcomes of the project and have had a full-time contract. But because I was successful, then it would be restructured and I'd be the one they'd let go.
Yes.
So, and that was happening, the whole way through. So this time there was no where to jump to because no one was working. So I did have a dear friend who was working for one of the TAFEs here in Melbourne, and she rang and said, are you doing anything? And she gave me a lifeline. I said, no, like desperate. And she said, right, I've got a project for you. The TAFE was regional, and again, we weren't allowed to go on site, but that then ended up being a 2-year contract. But the impetus for me, or the big change, was get your shit together. Really, this is how many more signs in the universe do you want to actually? And I'm so big at telling everyone, read tarot, you look for the signs, make them obvious, but when it comes to yourself, it's like, oh, me, okay, maybe not this week. Exactly.
I'm busy. Oh no, like that. Not now, not the right time yet.
Exactly. Like, excuse me. So then it was I think I got an email from you or your mum, because Nell had done it. And she'd said, I think you really enjoy doing this. Go and do it. So I went, well, if Karen's mother and sister have done it, knowing Jenna as well.
And some of our employees.
Yeah.
Got a cattle business and they've done it.
Exactly. This might be because I enjoyed the first one. I just didn't enjoy the outcome.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was telling me I didn't like what I was doing, but I didn't know what to do about it. And I thought, well, I'm single income, like, throw it all away. It just wasn't. Yes. So it was a good start in actually giving me that jab and saying, it's coming to an end. Okay, it took me 10 years to then go, okay, it's ending. And we all, part as friends. But the second one, the Wealth of You, was really about looking at everything and just deciding that, which is the biggest lesson in all of our lives, I think. It really is me. It comes down to me at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what I do. So, but I came from a family where every single one of us got degrees. Our parents were so big on education, and like your family, they worked. Our parents worked hard to do for us what they did. So it just, whilst they never stopped me doing and they never stopped any of us doing anything, it was just, you'll go to uni, won't you?
Yeah, it's like the security was in the degree or the job, or it wasn't so much the security is something you got to create within yourself.
Oh, God, no.
Go get a degree in you. But that's what we're doing here now. We're doing a master's degree.
That's right, exactly.
Had you tried anything else? Because obviously there was a very big gap between 11 years ago and then coming back, a couple of years ago. Had you tried anything else, any other courses, or what had you been doing before you jumped into the 28-day Wealth for You?
I actually did Kerr and Ray's program, Scarlett, and another couple of people on the internet that were really big on getting into you. A lady in particular, can't think of her name, but she was very confronting in terms of how everyone was beautiful and didn't matter whether it made you feel uncomfortable or not. And I thought, I don't know how that translate. Like calling me beautiful, I don't know how that translate into me changing my life. So, so I know I am, but
You
so
are, but we need to change the paradigms, right?
exactly,
Like
exactly, like
maybe let's go a little deeper.
exactly. Well, and that's it. So yeah, so there's lots of things over the years, and and even to the point where I also studied things like crystals, studied things like astrology, just looking for that next thing that made sense, or that actually then clicked inside of me, to just jump, to just make this work, make me work for me, not for everybody else, and not to be so fearful of the money, because money is such a driver.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So what were some of the outcomes initially from the 28 day? Let's start with that one before we
Right.
talk about the end results.
Yeah, I think for me, it actually really made me sit down, and I've been, and I don't mean this to sound arrogant or ignorant. I've been a hard worker, and I've got a really lovely life. So I jump on a plane whenever I want. I buy what car, wherever I want. I live where I want. I have an apartment that I don't live in. I'm a landlord, albeit that's in a different state. So letting go of that lifestyle is a big choice, or thinking you're going to let it go is a big motivator. So, and again, like I said, being single, there's no two incomes here. I pay all my bills. And that also can be a big driver as well. Well, if I don't pay it, who's gonna? So that was the main thing. So the 28 days, the main thing for me was actually getting it. And I've never had a budget. What budget? Hey, I don't need a budget.
And also we prefer to use financial model,
Yes.
right? The budget.
Yes.
Okay, what's the model? What's the financial model?
Yeah.
That is a match for you, how you want to live and your lifestyle, and taking that to a new level.
Yep. So mine was money in, money out. That was my model before the 28-day program, because I didn't have to worry, and I don't have to ask permission. I don't have to rally the kids where we're going, what we're doing, how we're doing it, whose bill we're. So it made me then start to think that there was a better way. Everyone's probably going, oh my God, like, who lives without a budget?
Or lots of people, but also worse than that, they live without a goal and a plan.
Yes. And that was the missing bit. Yeah, that was the missing bit. It was just like, keep going, and I can, and I do, and I could.
Yeah, year in, year out, spin your wheels.
Yep. And I'm, like I said, really good at it. I get people ring me and give me work. So why would I change that? Except for something inside of me, when I look back, even from the start of the first program that I did with you, of, well, you're looking for something. So it's time you actually did some work on you to actually then, so the 28 days gave me that. And I don't want to use the word confidence, but it probably gave me the confidence, but also the curiosity to take it further.
Yeah.
And that was huge, because, like I said, I've done a lot of programs. I've studied a lot. I even looked at enrolling in stuff. I do a bit of, well, I do a lot of witchcraft. So I, study herbs and, spell packs and that sort of stuff. And I thought, I could go and do a degree in, herbology or something. But so I just kept looking for the next thing without really seeing the plan or doing a plan.
And is that something that was a big outcome initially from the 28 day?
Yeah, it gave me that, like I said, that curiosity and that structure to go, you know what? You're just looking. Stop, sit, work it out. Work it out. Like, and it's hard. It's hard facing yourself. It is. Yeah. And all along, because I've also then had the luxury of all along, I've always done tarot readings, or I've always done something for someone in that psychic realm, because, people, and I say this, and people do reach out, but also, I do get spirits that come and sit down and go, hey, someone needs a message. So I'll then meet the person. I'll go, oh, you're the one whose grandma's been bugging me for a week. Right. So I always was able to combine, like it's just natural for me. So
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
And I can attest to that. It's always been natural. It's
Yeah.
never been, it's just always what Jackie has done.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
always, she's got
Yeah.
this corporate consulting life, but she also just has this other life as well. And it's just normal. It's who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. So
You don't have to try, it just
no.
is.
Yeah. And that's it. So a lot of people, and particularly my sisters, I'm a twin, and I have a younger sister. They have forever been going, why don't you just do the spiritual stuff? Like, you know, put yourself out there. But that to me was the scariest thing in the world. Like I said, even though it's natural to me, that was the scariest thing in the world. So once I'd done the 28-day program and I saw thinking into results, I thought, I'm also really good at not closing the box. So I can do projects, get it started, build the team, get the outline, but I don't have to finish it.
Yeah.
And it drives my sisters insane. I can just walk away and they'll go, oh, what happened to, and I'll go, oh, I don't know. I did my bit. Didn't you find out? But in the corporate world, as a project manager or as a consultant, half the time you don't know because it's just a short project. So that's the other thing with everything I did. So the first two programs to me actually was probably, other than study, but it's not, to me it's not a big deal, but that was to finish, to actually commit myself to that first 28 days and do it every day, because I'm really good at not having to. I understand structure, I understand things, how they work. I've been gifted with that ability to, there's no rose-colored glasses in my life. I can see the ending of things, so I know. So doing thinking into results then was a huge thing for me. It was huge, because I thought I just never commit to every day. Like, I'm gonna have to, like, if I'm going to do it, commit to it. So half the battle or half the motivation to start with was actually committing to doing it every day.
It's such a great example, because so many people will say, oh, I don't have the time for that, or I don't follow through. But that's the point. That's why you do it. So you change that paradigm, like you learn about that part of yourself. We self-sabotage. Of course we're not going to finish it, because if we finished it, if we did it, we'd learn about some new outcomes and our life might improve, and we might have to let go of some of the old stories that have held us back. And so we self-sabotage. But that's it's why the programs are designed the way they are, to support you.
And we invest in our self-stories. My God, I've got a self-story that I've carried on since my car accident. That story's gone on my whole life. So you kind of go, wow, I'm going to have to find a new story.
I'm going to have to write it. No one else is going to write it for me.
That's it.
Up until yesterday, other people may have contributed to your story and told you what to believe and what to think and what you could do. And you've bought into that story. But now you're free to actually decide what you want. And that's
part of the story.
Can be terrifying.
Absolutely.
But that's why you need the accountability and support, right? Like, that's the way I see it. Because that work's not going to be any easier trying to do it on your own, bouncing around the internet or picking up 10 books.
No,
not going to get anywhere. You're just going to confuse yourself.
Yeah. Well, pile of books sitting around somewhere. All of us have them. And that sort of, totally agree. So for me, doing thinking into results, and I did it twice in a row to help hone the lesson, and then made the decision. I really had to start living it. I really got so much out of thinking into results, and particularly for me was the terror barrier, and which was really interesting because I never thought I had it. But what it showed was I really wanted to do more of that psychic stuff again, whatever you want to call it. And I call it God because I was raised a Catholic, but I'm not, that's just a word. It's not anything to buy into. So that was how I saw, I wanted to do something that I was passionate about, because the compliance stuff, I'm just not. I'm just good at it. So I enjoy it. I wouldn't do it. Like, I don't hate it. I wouldn't do it if I wasn't. But it's not going to, and after doing those programs, it's not going to stick with me for the next, 10 years of my working life. It's, like I said, how many more times do I need to be the one they say goodbye to for me to get the message that I'm saying goodbye to it? So so in that regard, the terror barrier was great. So I took one step, and that was set up an angel messages page on Facebook, so that commitment's my big thing. So every day I do research, and I do star signs, and I write about the energy and what you can expect from the day or the week or the month ahead. So I found that to be really, again, do it every day. So and I do, there's barely a day that I've missed.
Oh, it's beautiful. So Jackie's Angel Messages, that's correct. Go and follow on Facebook if you're watching this. Jackie's Angel Messages, it's great. I love them.
Oh, thank you.
And I love them because I know you as well. Like it's but it's you know, and I know who you are, and I know your story, and I know that you're good at it. Like it's real. Like this is not just it's so good.
Yeah. So, and on the backs of that, and the terror barrier lesson, I think we said it was chapter 7, is the one that I probably work on the most every day. Which, like I said, so even to myself, sometimes I like, why are you scared? This is what you do. This is who you are. But that's just how it is. So I'm currently having my website built, hoping that goes live. So I'm stepping more in the next week, but I'm stepping more into that metaphysical world with a website to be able to do more things, because Facebook is only, a snapshot here and there, and that sort of thing. So, but I've always done tarot readings. I spend my weekends. That's what I do with people. So I just never advertised it. So only my friends knew, and they tell friends, and they tell friends, and now it's out there. And you know what? It wasn't that scary when I put that post up. I thought it was, but interestingly enough, both my sisters rang and said, "Well done, you. Really proud of you," because they know how much I was fearful of it. But it's crazy, because if I met you or met somebody and they had a spirit that needed a message, I would just, which is what I did to dear Simone at the day in Brisbane last year. Just went up to her and said, "Come over here, your dad's with you." So we had a big chat, and I did that knowing that, because she follows my page as well, so I knew that she'd be open to that message. So I'm not into, I'm not the attack psychic that I used to be. I will ask questions first before I blurt things out.
Yeah, so good. So what's on the horizon now this year? So 2023, what's on the horizon for you? What's coming up?
2023 for me, the plan, now we have plans. The plan is to be more in that space. So whilst I'm still doing some corporate work, I just don't load my calendar anymore. And, I'm not sitting here going, "Oh, I haven't got anything lined up for September," that sort of thing. So I would be spending so much energy building up that compliance stuff, whereas now I'm spending my energy going, "You know what, I need to do a bit more research." March is a big energy month for all of us. It's going to be life affirming for many star signs. There's a whole lot more. So I'm now, the plan is to actually, by the end of the year, to be transitioned pretty much fully into that space.
Yeah. And it's I think through your work in compliance, you've impacted tens of thousands of people through companies and institutions, but now it's millions.
Yeah, and which is interesting.
So your energy, that's your gift.
Yes. Yeah. And I think half the battle in life, and they say that half the battle in life is finding out what you don't want to do. But that way you can start heading towards knowing what you want to do. And one of the biggest questions I get asked or private messaged all the time is, you talk about changing your life full time. What do you do? How do you do that? So a lot of that is also creating a course in, it is about intent, but it's also about then, I think you put it on Instagram today, those 3 steps in, making a change is actually half the battle. Well, the first step is deciding to make one.
Correct.
But then sitting there dreaming and wishing for it, just, it's just not a thing. You actually have to take one step each day to get there. And I think, and I'm always recommending, your programs in particular, because I've done quite a few that at the end of the day, I walked away and went, well, okay, that was good, great, yep, interesting. But it was more a lot of talk fest. So, and we talk ourselves to death. In my family, we call them the chaps in the top paddock. And they're very vocal most of the time. And at the moment, for a lot of us with this energy in March, they're probably bringing in a lot of self-doubt. What am I doing? Where am I going? Sitting around thinking about that doesn't change it. So going and doing a course, going and signing up, even if it's, even if you just want to learn how to cook a roast, go and find a way to do it. Find someone to show you. And that starts you stepping out. Like the first course I did with you, I'd done structured training before. I already had a degree and some post-grad quals and stuff. But, that didn't help me build a business plan or even a plan. So starting with your program, it just started to get me on that path of, if not now, when? If not you, who's going to do this for you? So it to me, it's just thinking into results in particular. It's just opened up the way that I thought about, and like I said, my whole consulting business is about teaching people how to have plans. I just didn't have one for me. I don't know what I'm doing every day.
Yeah.
So for me, it was about putting in some structure, which is what I do, is teach people structure and how to meet legislation. So my compliance stuff is not just, here, come in, let me show you how to run your business. It's actually, here's the legislation. Here's what you need to do, follow it. Otherwise, you're out.
It's almost like a blueprint, the TAR. It's like, well, here's your mind, here's the universal laws, and this is how you work in harmony with it. Let's lay it out lesson by lesson. Let's show you how to build your life in harmony with the laws of your mind and the laws of your universe, so that you can accelerate creating what you want.
Yes. Yep. And so financially, it hasn't hurt me at all, not taking on, 100 contracts and having, 4 deadlines. January was a deadline a week. So there were, and there have been nights because of the work that I just, I'm lucky I can live on 20 minutes sleep and get up and keep going. So that's my hospitality days. I learned how to be a great cat napper. But hey, I don't know about how healthy that is, mentally, physically, emotionally. So and then you just tend to find that, well, I did with what I do, I tend to find then I'm chasing money because people value it while you're doing it. But until they get the sign off from the government that it's okay, it's like, oh yes, you can wait. So so for the first time for me, but in making the changes I've made and getting more back into who I actually really authentically am, I haven't missed a beat in terms of financially, but emotionally, I just feel so much happier. I like getting up every day, and I go for a walk every morning at 5 o'clock. Maybe I've got a cat that likes to wake me at 5:40. So if I'm not out of bed, she'll come in and, oi, get up. Yeah, exactly.
You said, before we started filming, you said how the experience of the programs for me, the 28-day and the thinking into results, it kind of was almost like beforehand you're living a life in a bit of a silo. Like there was this part of it, there was this part of it, and then there was this part of it, and they weren't as in, even though you were bringing it wasn't really integrated. But now you feel like you can combine it all, and it does all fit, and it is right. And tell us more about that.
It just kind of feels that it's all come together, and a lot of that is because I've allowed it to, and which to me was an odd way of looking at it, because I'd always compartmentalized. There are a lot of people, in the corporate business world, and I work with prime ministers, I work with lawyers, so it's very structured, and I'm there to teach them how to do something. So that's all they were interested in. So I just thought, well, that's that section. And so the metaphysical, the spiritual stuff is another section. But then it's just after doing thinking into results predominantly. So 28 days sort of started the change, but predominantly it was just about saying, what are you doing? Like, people do want to hear a story, and they want a story to be about them as well. And we all want to know that everybody that we loved or has passed on, or even if it's just a friend, it doesn't have to be a family member, that they're safe, they're happy. And how nice is that you've got, someone like your brother looking over your sons.
Exactly.
You can't get better protection than that. So once it became once it stopped being a thought process in my mind of separation, it just became one thing. So a lot of my tarot, and I noticed a lot of my tarot readings then became, because it used to be I would think quite structured. And people, there are certain things in life we all want to know about: love, marriage, money, happiness, and career. They started to meld, because if you get one aspect of your life right, you usually find everything else just falls into place.
Yeah.
And you can say that till you're blue in the face, which I was doing, and not quite there myself with it all. But just the whole structure of thinking into results and doing the lessons, and then committing to doing them even after not being in the program every week, just makes you think about, made me think about what more I could or couldn't do, and just stop worrying about it. So that's what I did. And then it's become seamless. Like, I get up every day, I'll answer a few business emails, and then I'll write my post for next week. So whereas before I had very big, structured plans on Tuesday is my day just to do, and usually was just to do Zoom calls, and they'll all be business. So that sort of thing. But, I couldn't see how to blend them. They just blended when I just went, who cares? I'm living it, like, no one's criticizing you but you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You remind me of the quote by Bill Gove that Bob Proctor would often say to us, and the last line of it was, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me my mum thinks I should be, or my dad, or my husband or wife.
Yep.
If I want to be free, I've got to be me, so I better know who me is.
Yep.
And that's what I see in you.
Right.
Just really, if I want to be free, I'm going to have to be me, and this is the whole of me.
Yes. Yep. And none of my family, none of my friends, none of the people that love me, none of the people I meet go, oh my God, what's wrong with you? That's what I mean. Your chaps in your top paddock, you really have to work on them. And doing a program like Thinking into Results actually, like you said, changes the paradigm and gets you thinking about what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And the only person
you want to think about to create the results that you want to create.
Yep. And the only person who can change it. Yep.
Yeah, sustainably. Yeah.
Yep.
Couple more questions. How was it for you? I mean, you didn't know it any different. We have obviously clients that come straight into Thinking into Results. They have clients that come the way you did from the 28-day. How did the 28-day really help you transition into Thinking into Results? Do you think you would have just gone straight into Thinking into Results, or
no,
it was really beneficial to do the 28-day first?
Absolutely. Just because it started getting me into a daily routine.
Yeah.
So because I wasn't in one,
and I not committed, right?
Yeah.
You do it half, 3/4 every time.
Yep. And I probably, if I'm honest, missed a day or two's work, because that's how my brain thought. Yeah. And I thought, if I'm going to invest in me and invest in you, I am going to commit, full stop, no ands, if, buts, or maybes. So I don't believe that I was in the mental space or plan to actually do that to start with. I wouldn't have. I would have just program. I would have just gone, oh yeah, no, I'll do it. It's Karen. I've had, I've followed you for a long time, blah, blah. She's my cousin. We love each other. She'll be great. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not getting up today, that time. I've got to do this. And like you said, oh, I don't know that I have time. You know what you do? Just make it. So
Yes.
it really got me into a flow of, and I enjoyed it. I just suddenly, a lot suddenly fell into place in terms of making sense about making a plan. People can tell you to make plans, and we have our whole lives. Get a plan, it should be fine, it'll be great. It just was never me. But like I said, I'm one of the most, my mother says I was a born organizer. I can organize anything from afar. I don't need a plan. So it just started to change, flip the way that I saw myself. And like I said, I never saw myself as bad or anything. I just got up every day, did my job, did what I wanted to do, did how I wanted to do it, had a good life. I still do. But structure is important. You have to at some point. You just have
and it's achievable, the 28 days. So many people say, oh, it's 28 days. Yeah, I can do that. I can manage that. There's no long workbooks, there's no long worksheets. It doesn't, it's just a little touch point every morning, a couple of little things to do. I can manage that.
Yes.
We always get that feedback. That was so manageable and it made such a big difference. And then they feel really ready to go into the 6-month program.
Yeah. And so that's what I think that it was. But I also was ready to start hearing and to start doing some work on me. And, that quote was just perfect. I've got to be me. When, if not now, when?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Favorite manifestation. Do you have a favorite manifestation to date?
I don't know if it's a manifestation, but I do have a mantra. And I say this quite often to people. No one ever died of crying. If you need to let it out, you have to let it out. So let it out, let it flow, and then work out why you've done that. So, and that brings real change. I used to use that as my babysitting mantra, by the way, because, I've got heaps of nieces and nephews. Oh, you babysit? Well, just so you know, we do control crying in my house. No, my mantra is no one ever died of crying.
That is so good.
But if you're keeping it in, you're not growing and you're not accepting and you're not releasing. And releasing, if you want to change a paradigm, you're going to let go of something. So if you're letting go through tears, you know what? Let it go. Let it flow. Let it happen, because you will eventually stop crying. And then you've got capacity to go, right, also, I need to get up every day. Yeah. So throughout my whole life and the things that I've gone through, like I said, my car accident when I was 16 has had lifelong repercussions with injuries. But every day, what's the choice if you don't get up?
Yeah. So what's the alternative? There's no alternative.
Yeah, no, and there really isn't, and there shouldn't be. So part of that changing of the paradigms is also then just to say it doesn't matter what time you get up, just get up. So I don't know that I have a favorite manifestation as such, but I love that, that's my mantra
for our community to hear that.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, because we go through bad times. We just do.
We do, exactly. And that's the law of rhythm. What goes up must come down. And we just want to ride that, but be in control to know that more often than not, we're steadying the ship.
Yes.
We're heading in the right direction.
Yep.
And that's the key thing.
Yes, that's true. Yep.
Yeah. How do people get in touch with you, Jackie, if they want maybe just to book a session with you, do a reading?
Yep.
What's the best way to get in touch?
Hit me up through the Jackie's Angel messages on Facebook, or through because I'm in all your Facebook groups. So if they can't find me there, feel free to private message me and then I'll be in touch that way. So I do a special when they say that they know you. I don't charge full tote odds. I think that it's really lovely that we have that connection. I mean, I know we're family, but it's lovely that we have that connection, and you have such a lovely community that I've always enjoyed being a part of. Maybe not when you're a little girl, but just kidding.
I was gonna say I was pretty full on.
Memory.
So funny.
But yes, so please just reach out. I mean, if you can't find me, like I said, my website will be up. We are in the final stages of negotiation, so I will put it in the group.
Yeah, or email our team and we'll
Yeah.
put you in touch with
Okay.
Jackie. If you can't find her,
Yeah.
Jackie's Angel Messages
Yeah.
on Facebook, or look up Jackie in our groups.
Yeah.
But if you still can't find her and you really want to get in touch, and I recommend that you do, she's amazing, just email us at concierge@karenbrook.com.au and we'll put you in touch.
Oh, thank you.
Parting words, Jackie, for somebody watching this who is unsure of their next step, wants to join the program, maybe is feeling all of those things. Will I commit? Can I do it? Should I? What do you say to that person?
Feel what you're feeling, but do it anyway. I think
Yeah.
fear is such a strong motivator in our society. We are also conscious and aware of, what people are going to think, what are they going to say, how are you going to do it, oh, what if I can't? You know what? Reach out, ask a question. If nothing else, reach out to your team, but feel the fear and do it anyway, because for me it was just so corny, life-changing, because through your programs I've allowed myself to be me.
Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah, and honestly, it absolutely is. It's just absolutely everything. And so many people now, no one's changed in my life. No one's walked away and gone, oh my God, you're an idiot. I never saw this in you. You're being so not inauthentic. You're being so ridiculous. No one. Everybody's gone.
Finally.
At last, like, hello, like, yeah, exactly.
She got there.
Yeah.
Your life's just beginning again.
Yeah, and that's
you.
what I feel like. But I also feel like I can happily blend the whole structure, governance, compliance with who I am. It's just, I just feel at peace.
Yeah, that's the best. So
Yep.
good. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jackie, and for sharing your story and your wisdom and your gifts with us. It's a pleasure and a privilege every time to spend time with you. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. You too. Right back at you. Thank you.
Thank you.